Hey, welcome to the Bearded Guy podcast channel. Now today I'm going to do another video about audio. And the reason I'm doing this video is because, quite honestly, the ones that I've done before, I don't feel like I've done them justice, and I feel like I screwed the pooch. They were pretty bad. And I shouldn't have put them up there, but I did. And the reason I feel bad about putting them up there is because they don't quite do the justice that needs to be done when you're talking inexpensive gear. Because a lot of people think you have to have the name brand, most expensive piece of audio equipment or microphone to actually do quality work. Well, you don't. And it's nice to have, don't get me wrong. Those things are what you kind of build up to and you strive to get to. But if you want to start something on a budget, like a podcast or a live stream, you can do that very inexpensively. And in this video, we're going to talk about how you actually achieve that. Now, one of the things that always comes up is, which microphone should I buy? And that's the big question when people are doing live streams, of course, when you're doing a podcast or when you're doing video creation, is which microphone do I need? Which is going to give me the best bang for the buck? Now, that's subjective. And I'll tell you why that's subjective. Because every microphone is going to be different with your voice. There's no way around that. That's going to happen. You have to try as many things as you can possibly try to see what works for you. Now, you see now I'm just using a dynamic microphone. This is a very inexpensive microphone, and it's a Shure knockoff by the company Behringer. This is the Behringer BA85A. This is a great mic, and it was very inexpensive. Actually, this microphone cost me $26, and I bought it from American Musical Supply. And the shipping, of course, was great, and everything. The customer service is phenomenal. But this was a very good purchase. And the reason I purchased this is because it was an upgrade from microphones that I've been using by Behringer for some time now. And actually, this is the microphone that I have been using for my live streams, for my podcast, for video content creation, and different things that I have going on in my little creative hodgepodge stew going on here. The Behringer line of microphones, dynamic microphones that are inexpensive, are the XM8500. This is a great microphone. If you're starting out on a budget, I cannot recommend this enough. These mics are $23 on Amazon. Now, you might go on Amazon and start looking for these, and they're sold out a lot because people buy these a lot. Whenever they come in, they're gone immediately. The reason is because they're a quality, inexpensive mic that you can use for different purposes, different creation things that you're doing. They work great for podcasts. They work great for live streams, and they work great for this video creation. I can't suggest these enough, and I can't praise these enough because they sound good. With my voice, it's got kind of that, what my wife says is a Casey Kasem sound. I'm not sure what that means, but that's what she says. My voice is kind of deeper on some aspects, and I get a little bit high sometimes. These microphones handle that full spectrum well. They don't color the sound too much. It's not a completely flat response that you get from them, but they do well. And they're dynamic mics, so they're going to do a lot of noise rejection from the rear of the microphone. They're going to do that well because the dynamics are going to be more in this area here. Now, with this BA85A from Behringer, this mic's a little bit different with its sound footprint than the XM8500s, but still, I love the way this mic sounds, and I wanted to try it out. Again, you can't go wrong with these if you want to purchase one and try it and see if it works for you. And if it doesn't, then again, you've not spent a lot of money. Inexpensive is what we're talking about. And when you really want to talk inexpensive, the mic that I started with for my live streams was a Toner gaming microphone. I think I may have paid $15 for that thing. Now, that is just a plug and play USB, get it and go kind of microphone, if you will. And while it worked, it didn't work the greatest. I mean, there were some audio quality issues with it. There were some dropouts with it, but I have my live streams downloaded from when I first started doing live streams, and I look at it and listen to it, and I can see some improvement. And one of the biggest improvements is the audio. Now, the other thing with audio, when you're talking inexpensive gear, is you may want to add to that. You may want to bring out the best in that inexpensive gear. And one of the things that I did, and the reason I did it, for no other reason whatsoever, is that I saw some reviews of a product, and I said, yeah, I'd really like to try that just to hear what it actually does and how it can help me with my microphones of choice. But I never saw a video review of it. I never saw anybody use the product with any of the Behringer mics that I had. This was the SE Electronics DM1 Dynamite. This is a inline preamp that you can use with any dynamic microphone. And the reason you can use it with any dynamic microphone is because it turns on via 48 volt phantom power through your board or through your recorder, whatever you're using, but it doesn't let it get to the microphone. It just powers it on and gives clean gain to the mic to make your recordings better. And the reason that's important is this. Gain is one of those things with a mic. If you're using something that's a very quiet mic, like a dynamic microphone, now that's not just inherent to these Behringer mics. That's also inherent to the Shure SM7B, the workhorse of podcasters and radio broadcasters. You see those in use everywhere. Now that's a $400 mic, but that's a very gain-hungry mic. And to make that thing sound good in a home studio, you have to add additional equipment, i.e. one of these DM1 Dynamites. These things work great over a multitude of microphones in the dynamic range. Because again, if you can give it clean gain here, what it eliminates on the other side is you can turn the gain down on your mixing board. And if you can turn the gain down on your mixing board, that eliminates a lot of noise. And if it eliminates a lot of noise from the mic itself, it's also eliminating a lot of the other noise and sounds that it's going to pick up on the outside of where you're speaking. Trust me, gain is one of those things that you need a lot of it, but you want to make sure that it's clean gain. And this right here helps you accomplish that goal. So what else do I use in my setup for recording audio? Well, let's look at some of those. Now, when we're talking inexpensive gear, some things you're going to look at too to actually record your audio, that's going to be important too. So you want to look around and get the best deal that you possibly can. Now, one of the things that I actually wanted to do was try a Zoom recorder. Now I've looked at the H6, I've looked at the H5, and then I started looking at the H4n. Now these still run about $250, $269 on Amazon. They are still kind of expensive. So my suggestion to you, if you want to do a podcast on a budget, is look for one of these H4n recorders, that's been used. I mean, they're a very, very, very good product that still works well. As you can see, I have this set up on a ball head. This is actually, I don't know if this is going to stay in focus, but I set this up on one of my camera ball heads that I have because it just sat there and collected dust. But it works good, and I just made a little mount board for it. So you can see, very inexpensive, very easy to create, and this just sits wherever I want it to, and I can adjust it to my view. But the Zoom H4n, the really cool thing about these H4n recorders is the fact that they do have, let me take this off the base here. They do have two XLR inputs on the bottom. They also have another mic input here where you can use with a lav mic or some other little, like a gaming headset mic, if you will. They have recording levels, menu, scroll wheel. In here you can put your SD card to record all of your audio. I'm using a 32 gig card in this H4n right now. That gives me about 30 hours of recording based on the setting that I've got. The other thing that you're going to want to look at if you do go this route with an H4n or another Zoom type recorder, or any recorder for that fact, is an external power supply, because you will go through batteries really fast. The reason you go through batteries even faster with these is when you use phantom power that you can supply from the recorder itself if you're running condenser microphones, or if you're running a DM1 like I am for my dynamic mics. You want to get an external power supply because, again, you will go through batteries fast. And of course, you've got your headphone out. You can put a remote in. There's USB to attach it directly to your computer. And of course, just the standard power on and off switch. Now, people have reviewed these over and over and over, so I'm not going to go into all of that. But this is just to show you that you can find these relatively inexpensive secondhand through places like OfferUp or Craigslist, if you will, even eBay. I think I actually purchased this one off OfferUp, and I got it for $100. So again, that's a good minimal investment to start a podcast. And people say, well, can you do a podcast with this piece of equipment? Of course you can, because you can have up to, again, 2 XLR mics on the input on these, and that can give you a good, healthy conversation going with if you have another person to do the podcast with you. So again, great investment for me. This also comes with, by the way, the external mics that are built into the H4n itself, and you can use these like in a live application, or if you're out and about and you wanted to do some field recordings. These work great. These are very, very sensitive, so just keep that in mind. I don't think those would be good for a podcast setting, maybe an on-location interview type with somebody. But again, they do pick up a lot, and they are kind of harsh when it comes to everything they pick up. And they're not harsh, they are what they are. They're just built-in microphones that you can use in a pinch. The other thing that you see here is my Behringer mixing board. This is the 1202 USB. Now, this is a little bit more on the expensive side. I did start with a Behringer 302 USB, which was about, I think I paid $30 for that. It's just a little 2-channel mixer, a lot smaller than this. But I did some really good audio with that, with my live streams, and I even did some video creation with that small mixer, and it works great. There was nothing wrong with it. It's just as I've grown and I'm starting to expand and wanting to do different things, I needed to upgrade my equipment to do some of those different things that I needed, like the different inputs that this has. You can do the mix minus. You can do everything that this would be great for a podcast setup, because you do have the 4 XLR inputs, and you also have, in total and in different combinations, you have 12 inputs on this. The beautiful thing about this is you can send this out to any of the audio going in, rather. You can send that out to a mixing board, another mixing board, rather, a powered speakers or a PA system. I use it mainly with the USB output to send it into my computer, and I use this with everything from OBS to Audacity. I do it for live streams. Everything you could possibly want to do, you can do with this mic. Now, this does have the phantom power on-off switch, so if you're using dynamic mics and you don't have an inline preamp, then you can just use it without phantom power and just run your microphones. But again, you can kind of see, I don't know if you can see it because the videos, I don't know how much you can actually see here, but I've got my gain set way down. I think I'm just a click up about less than 10, if you will. And then, of course, the mic input itself, I always run those up, and I have little tick marks on here to kind of keep me in mind, because I adjust up and down from time to time. So again, it's really not hard to start an inexpensive podcast. It's not hard to start an inexpensive live stream if you're wanting to do that. Again, the audio quality is critical. So let me show you one of the other things that I have in my live streaming arsenal, and this is what everybody has, but I want to give you some idea of the quality that's actually there if you set it up right. Okay, so the other thing that I use a lot is my Logitech C920 webcam, which is what you're looking at now. Now, you can get some really good video imagery for your live streams, or if you do a live podcast on YouTube or whatever platform you're on, you can really do some great live streaming with this. Now, the thing about the Logitech cameras is this. I know you've looked at probably a lot of either live streams or videos made with the Logitech camera, giving you either a comparison or showing you, some of the way to set them up and working with them. The one thing that I found in my experience with these is they need a lot of light to actually work well. And the reason is because they have a little small sensor. It's a little small sensor in there that actually needs a lot of light intake to make it produce the image well. Now, I have mine set up in a certain way. I use mine at 1920 by 1080. I do 60 frames per second, and I come across from the video, it comes out really well when it does the video. The one thing that I will notice when I do live streams with this is that it actually scales it down to, I think it's 720. It goes from 1080 to 720. So my live streams are always done in 720, but let's be honest, not a lot of people are sitting there picking your live streams apart wondering, is he in 1080 or is he actually in doing this in 720? So nobody's really picking that apart, and these do really well. And I'm going to show you some examples of some of the live streams I've done with this. But honestly, your recordings can come out well. Your recordings can come out great, and you can have something that you can be proud of. And the thing about it is you just want to take some time and learn and grow with your equipment, which is what I've done over the past couple of months. I've actually taken some time to really get into and research and look at some of the different things and try some different things with recording and how my little studio here, if you will, is set up. But you can come across with some really great end results if you just take a few minutes and go through some of that. Again, the audio, it doesn't have to be the most expensive, the latest and greatest, if you will. But you do want to get something that fits you. You want to get something that not only that you can afford, but that you can grow with and learn with and gain experience with, and then eventually upgrade, which is kind of what I'm looking to do here in the near future. I'm looking at some different mic options because I want to move on into some different things. I want to try some actual, voiceover ventures, if you will. I want to kind of wade into the waters of that. So it's going to require me to upgrade to a few more different things, but not right now. I'm going to use what I have, grow with what I have, get better with what I have, and hopefully eventually, move on to some different things. But again, you don't have to have the most expensive. You don't have to have the latest and greatest to do a quality video. And I hate to keep saying it, but a podcast and different things. My podcast now is on buzzsprout.com. I'm on Stitcher. I am on Google Podcast. I'm on Apple Podcast. I'm on TuneIn Alexa. And the big one I just got, and I was so proud of it, was iHeartRadio. And I know lots of people can get on these platforms, but to me, it's an accomplishment. And I look back at where I started, and it's all about taking the time to learn and grow and understand what you're working with and try to make that the best that you possibly can. So like I told you at the beginning of the video, I'm going to show you what I did to my room to actually make it sound better. And I'm going to give you a before and I'm going to give you an after. So you be the judge of what you think it sounds like with the before and after. I myself hear the difference. Normally when I do my live streams or when I'm recording, I'll wear headphones so I can kind of hear. Today I chose not to. I didn't want those to look like Mickey Mouse here sitting on top of my head. I wanted to just do just this video to talk about the audio and video stuff. So let me show you what I did to my room and give you a before and after sound. And that way you be the judge. So as I stated earlier in the video, I was going to show you what I did to my room to actually do some sound treatment. Now I didn't do the sound absorption panels. I didn't do the boxes that you see people do on YouTube and build. And those are some really cool looking panels that they do, and they do really help. So I wasn't ready to do that yet. But what I did was very inexpensive, and it didn't cost me, I think, about $30. And now my wife helped me do this because she gave me some of the stuff to actually do this with. So what I want to do is show you what I did to my room and then give you some examples of before and after the treatment of my walls here in my studio. So there you have it. I mean, very inexpensive, Very easy to do. You can see behind me. Look how pretty that is. Just kidding. But if you want to do things inexpensively and on a budget, this is a great way to do it. You just have to think around some of the problems. You have to think around some of the ways to make things work and sound better and look better. I'm using very inexpensive equipment other than my mixing board. My microphone is the Behringer BA85A, and I have the XM8500s. My Logitech C920, that's a very inexpensive webcam that you can get into that does 1080 60 video. You just have to set it up right, give it enough light. So again, when it comes to inexpensive audio and video, you can do this. Anybody can do this. I know if I can, you definitely can, because I'm not the sharpest pencil in the box sometimes. But I just wanted to give you that quick little tour. Hopefully I did the inexpensive part of this justice this time in this video. I do appreciate you coming by and watching this. Thank you for hanging out with me for a few minutes. I hope you enjoyed the content. And if you did, please hit the subscribe button and hit the notifications bell. And the reason I asked you to hit the notifications bell is because we go live every Saturday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I hope you join us for one of our live streams. It's usually me and the usual suspects that show up, and we just bounce ideas back and forth, and we just have fun in the comments, and we just hang out and do community. And if you wouldn't mind, if you did enjoy this content, please hit that like notification. And I do appreciate you coming by. Thank you so much. I hope you have a great day, a better tomorrow, and a wonderful week ahead of you. And until next time.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to every one person. Welcome to the Bearded Guy.
All right, so now we get this thing set up. Let it buffer a little bit. No, I'm about 2 minutes early, but I think it's okay. So I'm just going to test a few things while I'm waiting for this to get started. Yeah, there we go.